This circular walk will take perhaps an hour or an hour and a half. It offers panoramic views of the Holme Valley, and it takes you through or close to many of the ancient settlements on the eastern slopes of the Holme Valley. The starting point for the walk is on the Woodhead Road, just opposite the Catch restaurants, which until recently was better known as the Victoria Inn. First part of the walk follows the riverside footpath through Victoria, along the river as far as Bottoms Mill. This photograph from about 1900 shows the area as it used to be in the good old days. And this photograph, probably from around about 2000, shows the mill site in its final days before that was demolished and the present new houses built. The small stone wall marks the spot where a goit fed water from the river into the mill dam at Perseverance Mill. The dam is long gone, now covered by modern houses. Where the river passes Bottoms Mill, it has been divided by a stone and concrete wall into two segments. What the purpose of this is not immediately clear, but presumably had some connection in the days of the textile industry. The river between Holmfirth and Hinchliffe Mill is home to at least two herons. Dippers, wagtails, and if you're very lucky, kingfishers can also be seen on this stretch of the river. The footpath river continues towards Hinchliffe Mill, but at Bottoms Mill we take the bridge over the river to pick up the path which will lead uphill to Malcolm Woods and Malkin House. Bottoms Mill was built in 1825, and the 200-yard-long goit feeding water into the dam from Hinchliffe Mill was added in 1828. Initially, power was provided by two water wheels, but later, of course, steam power became the norm, and the chimney shows the date of 1911. Much of the mill still survives, but is occupied now by a variety of companies, none of which are in textiles. Some 200,000 red bricks were used in the construction of this chimney, but clearly it has not been used for some considerable time, and nature too is beginning to reclaim it for itself. After crossing the bridge, take the uphill path towards the wooden footpath marker halfway up the hill. At the wooden footpath sign, take a short diversion into Bray Wood to view the rather mysterious looking swimming pool structure which is there. The late 19th century Ordnance Survey map shows a watercourse running from this lido downhill first to a pool and then to a building. The pool survives but very badly silted up, and the foundations of the building in Braywood can also be seen. Perhaps even more mysterious is the fact that there is one lone large fish living in the lido. How did it get there? To continue the walk, take the path uphill to the stile which leads into Malkin Wood, and then follow the steep path uphill to the top of the woods. The steps at the top of the footpath mark the entrance to the abandoned Victoria quarry, and here too it's worth taking a diversion to look at what remains. A large amount of ready-work stone has been left on site, as though it were abandoned in something of a hurry. The stone base of the crane which once existed on this site can still be seen, and it also is marked on the attached Ordnance Survey map. Return from the quarry to the main footpath and take the last steep little section in the woods up to the stile at the top. Crossing this will bring you onto the open field and the footpath which leads to Malkin House. The footpath leads through the front garden of Malkin House, quite close to its front door. But fear not, this is a long-established public right-of-way, and you can pass Malkin House and then Malkin House Farm, and then up the drive to the junction with the main road. Malkin House is clearly a very historic settlement, perhaps dating from the Middle Ages, like Ward Place and Dunsley. Estate agents no doubt would describe Malkin House as very desirable, and one of the properties there was recently on the market at £500,000. But the census returns in the 19th century and the early 20th century reveal a very different world. In Malkin House, there were some 12 families, 44 residents, all living in 3 or 4-roomed accommodation, mainly employed in farming or in the textile industry. Continue up the driveway of Malkin House to the main road, but before crossing the road to pick up the footpath, make a short detour to the right to have a look at New Dunsley. This again was once a farm with a barn, now a very attractive private accommodation, but at the beginning of the 20th century it was the home of a well-known citizen in Holme, Thomas Haig, cab proprietor. And this is probably Thomas himself, taking a local choir on an outing. Climb the stile onto the footpath, which will lead across the field, uphill to Dunsley and Ward Place. Given the right light conditions, evidence of medieval ridge and furrow strips can be seen in this field. They would once have looked like this, but of course have long since been ploughed almost to smoothness. Here, almost certainly, oats was grown, which formed an important part of the staple diet in the medieval Holme Valley. Climbing over the stile at Dunsley brings us on to the medieval road, which linked many of the hillside communities on this side of the valley. Taking a diversion down the hill, we see Ward Place. By the beginning of this century, it had fallen into disrepair and was looking very sad and sorry. But a developer took it on and has now converted it into a very modern and very attractive community. Just as for Malkin House, the census returns at the end of the 19th century reveal a very different world. There were some 7 families living there, mainly farmers and weavers. The 19th century residents of Ward Place perhaps looking more like this. Not much remains now of the medieval settlement of Dunsley, except perhaps its water supply, which we can see in the field. Take the medieval Dunsley Bank Road uphill to the seat at the top, a chance to rest and enjoy the panoramic view of the Holme Valley. Not something perhaps which would have caused the medieval traveller any problem. From the seat, take the steep path down towards the main road at New Dunsley, past New Dunsley to pick up again the entrance to Malkin House. Note the stone trough on the corner here at New Dunsley. We are fortunate that throughout the Holme Valley we have a rich legacy of these stone troughs and wells, showing just how important spring water was and still is in many cases for all the communities in the valley. Once back in Malcolm Wood, near the quarry, it is possible to take an alternative route back to Victoria. Follow the footpath downhill to Perseverance. This was once the main access road into the quarry, and evidence of the work at the quarry can still be seen on some of the flagstones, worn away by the heavy weight of wagons. The footpath brings us down to the modern housing estate at Perseverance Place, where once stood until the end of the 20th century Dyson's Perseverance Mill. We cross the original bridge into the mill to arrive back at our starting place by the Catch restaurant. For much more detailed evidence on the history of the sites visited in this walk, I recommend these two publications.